All right, welcome to Arbery Digital Experiences. This is episode 29, and this is the post-Adobe-Summit 2026 podcast. Woohoo! We're still in Las Vegas, and I'm Tad Reeves, Principal Architect, Arbery Digital, joined here by
Bryce Acker.
And also by
Hank Toby, CMO.
We had a crew here at Adobe Summit, and this is exciting. This is a different format than usual. It's later this year than usual. This is usually
April versus March, right?
That's right. This is right. We were usually done with this for a month, so now here we are in April. But yeah, there's so many things to go over. We're going to try to pack this up in some sort of a sensible way, and give you an overview of what our experiences were at Adobe Summit and what things that you should go and check out yourself, because a lot of the sessions are going to be online, as well as some of the lab overviews and so forth as well. So we'll try to keep it tight and try to give you an overview, try to keep this really valuable for you. First off, let's just go over just the event itself. There's some differences this year, format-wise.
No partner day.
No partner day.
Monday through Wednesday. That sort of messed me up. Thought I was flying home on Friday, but now it's Thursday.
That's right. And yeah, here we are on Wednesday, and usually this is when the bash is held. So, and that already happened last night.
Yeah,
so
that was a blast. They did a good job this year, as always.
Yeah, and so let's go over just generally how this went. So, Sunday is usually pre-summit training. It was pre-summit training again this time.
Mm-hmm.
I did not do pre-summit training, but we had something else that happened on Sunday, which is our pre-summit bike rides. This is the second time we've done this.
Yep.
We put it all on ourselves last year with renting a U-Haul truck and renting all the bikes ourselves and stuff. Like we went out to Hoover Dam, but then this year we got a company, e-bikes. And oh my gosh, that was just lovely.
Yeah, no, they were fantastic. Yeah, good hosts, and that's by far the way to do it.
Oh yeah,
they knew what they were doing, and they guided everyone through it. What a beautiful scene!
Yeah,
too.
the red rods were beautiful.
So, yeah. Oh my goodness. So so as an overview, so we went, we took a whole tour. What did we have? Like 16 people or something like that. We went out to Red Rock Canyon, Calico Basin, out about 30 minutes west of Las Vegas proper. And it was a 18-mile loop that we took ish,
and like 2,000 feet in elevation climbed, and it was nice to have e-bikes, that's for sure.
Well, most of us had e-bikes.
Yeah.
One member of the party did not have an e-bike, and I brought my own bike along, and so it was. I only found out about the route when we got there.
Really?
I didn't know the route. I didn't know what was going to happen. It was like all up to them. I was like, good, I'll do whatever. I thought we might even be mountain biking. So that's why I was trying. I tested out mountain bike trails on Saturday. I'm like, okay, good, I'm ready.
It's good that you got tuned up the day of.
Right, exactly. And then they're like, oh yeah, no, we're doing a 18 miles. Yeah, we're going, straight up 1,100 feet right away. I'm like, oh, good.
He took off ahead of us, and halfway through the incline, everyone caught up, and then. Yeah, he didn't finish like dead last in the first leg, but I'll tell you what though, downhill.
No, yeah, I got to cook a little bit. That was fun, but
that was a lot of fun. It was beautiful.
It was gorgeous.
It's wild that it's 30 minutes outside of town and just so beautiful, and you just get off the Vegas Strip and just see nature in all its glory.
A great palate cleanser before the rest of the summit kicked off.
Well, yeah, but because everybody, so we had what do we have, like 5 AEM champs or something like that out there. We had a bunch of like tons, like almost everybody was either a developer or an architect or with the exception of one of the AEM champs brought his wife along. That was really great.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Good conversations, and I think everyone it was just refreshing to do. The day before summit and sort of clear your mind going into that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and then the meetings with Adobe people basically started the instant that we got back from that, and it was just basically it basically did not stop until just now.
Yeah.
So yeah, and as you can tell, I don't know if you guys can see the spear in the background, but we're obviously still in Vegas right now. So this is not your humble abode. Okay, good. So in terms of themes, so last year. where we were basically doing this exact same podcast. The whole idea was this. It was this whole rise of agentic AI.
Right.
I remember even having to define the word agentic on the podcast because it was I'm like, is that a word? Is that real? It was actually, I mean, obviously it was a word before people were defining AI with it.
It's amazing how far that's come in a year.
Right, to the point where everybody's expecting it.
Right.
Like everybody's expecting that this is the way AI is working. Yeah.
Well, even in our session today, they point out the fact that Claude Code wasn't even out until I think May of 25.
Yeah. And some of the solutions that were released at Adobe Summit last year were utterly and completely rewritten before actually making it out to primetime and into our hands, and we're using them now, which is wonderful.
Yep.
But this year it's sort of a different theme, and you had to read between the lines a little bit. But Adobe these days much more has got this idea of, instead of, so before they've always, so they started out, and this is the start of all their products really, started out much more shrink wrapped.
Yeah.
And now instead of saying, well, here's the user interface that you're going to have, and look at our pretty user interface and so forth, it's now like this composable fabric of solutions that you can just put your own conversational interface on, add your own, like if you're a Claude Code person, or if you're a Chat GPT person, or you would prefer you prefer to talk to it or something like that, make it so that all of their very opinionated, very super able and capable systems are all accessible on the input side and on the output side for however you want it.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously providing a lot of MCPs and a lot to come to be able to connect into this ecosystem from, again, your choice of LLM or endpoint there, and even the APIs that are being hooked in as well.
That's right.
And even just in context within AEM itself and within a lot of their tools, that's really neat to see.
It's a whole new world, and if you weren't, it's one of these things too, is that it's one of the reasons to go to a summit like this, is that after a while, and after you see enough presentations, and you've got 15,000 people around you that are all like, I get it. Then then eventually everybody you talk to, you're like, yeah, of course it would be like this.
Yeah.
But then as soon as we go home, like, this is almost the reason to bring a crew to Summit.
Yeah.
It's because, like, if you took one person and then you came home and then you come home, then that one person is going to look like a lunatic.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like,
AI does that
right. Yeah, I don't trust that.
Yeah, well, I think too, like, so we had 6 people on our team out here this year, and just I think every one of the 6 is going to have a different perspective,
right?
Have different conversations, and what's nice is going to be able to talk through those and sort of soak up the other conversations and experiences that other people had.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of follow-up too.
There is, but I think there's going to be a lot of communications also to talk to people about the ramifications of this and because not every product is ready for this type of interface.
Yeah.
And some of them have varying degrees of like how much you can do. And in some cases there was like demos and things that we saw were totally actually ready for prime time right now, and we're already using them.
Yep.
And some of them are like a little bit happy path.
Yeah.
And yes, you may be able to do things, but you don't realize that some of those demos were sped up by 20 times and it removed all the error conditions and things like that. So
yeah,
I was down the live demos.
Right.
Well, and they were joking today. They 12x the cloud manager deployment pipeline.
But everybody got that joke.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like,
everyone's
12x.
That
my cloud manager takes an hour and 15 minutes.
Gone through that pain for sure. So honestly, just even on the labs, to me, I felt like Summit started out with a bang in just the very first lab that I went into, and the line was out the door. They did it 3 times at Summit, which I think is the first time they've had a lab that they've repeated 3 times. And I know not everyone got into it that first session, but the very first session I went to was the Adobe Experience Modernization Agent lab, and I had to write it down because we know it as AEM Coder,
right?
And we've been using it for quite a little bit now, and in today's world, quite a little bit's like months, right?
Yeah, I've been using it for like weeks.
Right. But it was a great session, and you could tell that it was new to 99% of the crowd. We've been able to kick the tires a little bit, which is great. But they're super stoked that a lot of migrations are going to be able to go through this to to really onboard people into the new EDS and
Yes.
VA type world.
Oh yeah. So so getting right into takeaways on that too, is one of the things that I think is most interesting about how fast you can migrate into these super lightweight CMSs, because we've got all these super agentic AI, any surface on the way in, any surface on the way out expectations of a CMS right now. So you can't, so having a big, heavy, super opinionated CMS that has only a couple ways that you're supposed to interact with it is just not going to get you there right now, right? So this is one of the things that you can, is a plus about this, the whole edge delivery land right now. But the thing that that they get to avoid by providing a tool like this is what they ran into in 2020 when they came out with AIM as a cloud service.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. Because so cloud service came out, it was like January 2020, and everybody was like, yes, everybody's going to move to cloud service. But as it turned out, migrating a ground into on-prem, solution to the cloud is actually not dead simple. So
now I've heard mixed reviews on how simple it is to get to EDS as well, depending on customers' builds. I don't know what you guys think about that, but
I don't think it's mixed reviews.
I talked to an architect who wasn't so sure, and a user who went to that session and was very confused.
well, okay. So let's dig right into what would be hard and difficult about that. And to me, that ties into everything about what this is going to get like this would be like the skip to the end of this entire podcast takeaway of all this, right? Which I guess we can go completely out of order on this. Okay. So, and that is the AIs like this. So like dramatically speed up things that took a lot of mechanical time before, right? Like, we had this dialogue and this tab control or something like that. And now I need to move this into EDS and okay, all right. So get a couple developers, couple sprints. We're going to work on like, what are my requirements? Like all this stuff, right? And now it happens like in minutes, you could have something like that migrated over as long as your specifications were done correctly, right?
Well, and it's clear too. I mean, a lot of people had questions, like you said, but when I looked around that room, they asked who had exposure. 99% of that room had not had exposure to that.
And that's
the migration agents, AIM code.
I was surprised by. I didn't think the EDS messaging would be so forward, and everyone, it seemed like all the people that we were around and hanging out with, Kim to the bike ride, it was all like regular to them, but I figured that might just be the in crowd.
Yeah.
And then going out to the Summit broadly and hearing everyone also talking about it, even people who weren't working on AEM were talking about it.
Yeah.
It's
But clearly, to your point, though, I mean, I think they're providing those tools to be able to on-ramp so much easier.
Exactly.
And they are working, and obviously we're working with them right now, and it's a lot smoother than it was a year ago.
That's right.
To onboard.
And it's not a be all end all. It's not even meant to be a be all end all.
Right.
But the fact that it is a massive accelerator is what it's all about. It basically is going to take a lot of the pain out of it. But what it doesn't remove is the overall job of good architecture, of intentional planning of how something's going to happen.
Right.
Which that's like this takeaway point that that Jensen had in the keynote with Shantanu at the very beginning, right? So Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, was talking with the Adobe CEO Shantanu Narayen, and one of the points, and I actually tried to write it down word for word. Actually, what he said was, one moment, please. Your call is very important to us. So he said, so it's the purpose versus the task that needs to be separated, and having somebody who understands the overall purpose, right? And what are you trying to do?
Yep.
You're not going to remove like this all the doomer stuff that the Anthropic CEO keeps coming with, like, oh, it's going to remove all the white collar jobs. They're all going to die. Like that's not it.
Yeah,
that just the people just get to move up the stack a little bit.
100%.
If they're willing to move up the stack, if they're willing to be intentional.
That was the story on a lot of sessions that I saw, is that it's, the agents doing the work, but the governance being human controlled and enabling the creativity and the thought and again the architecture and building and designing but so much quicker to ideation.
Right.
And I think
Right.
the sentiment around that realization last year compared to this year is completely different.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Last year there was like maybe like gasping in the room, and they were talking about these
Yes.
agents coming in. This
Yes.
year,
you can tell everyone's warmed up that it's
Right.
here to stay.
Yeah, I mean, but also I think that people have a little bit more of an understanding of what feeds them. You know what I mean? And
That's true too.
and the
Well,
fact that
there's just
it's
a
the
bigger
purpose.
concept of what they are at this point.
Yeah.
And I want to hit on this too. That one of the sessions Sarah Zhu put on, they were talking about the MCPs, and really it's the AI registry that Adobe's putting out. Yeah, she had the analogy that really stuck to me, and I felt like helped a lot of people. It was a kitchen analogy, but with agents and MCP and skills, the agents being the chef, the MCPs being sort of the pantry, and the skills being the recipes.
Right.
And I thought that was a really, really good analogy. It's not perfect, clearly, but it's a good way to wrap your head around some of those concepts there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you don't give some one of these agents and the various AIs that are behind them enough instruction on what you want, then it's just going to be a fire hose, just going to kind of going all over the place, and you're going to get whatever you get.
Yes,
And you might get a
that'd be your
different thing
AI
every time.
slop. That'd be your,
And that is the website migration equivalent of awful ChatGPT slop.
yeah.
So yeah, for sure. So there was that. So there's that whole that was what was it? Marcus? No, it was Carl and Gabriel's AM Coder Lab.
yeah, that was
They kicked us
well,
off.
they did it 3
Yeah.
times, I think.
They did, yes, exactly. Which is the only time in Summit history that a lab's been done 3 times, and it was packed
It was that popular.
every time.
And it should have been, honestly.
And yep, exactly. Well, because people need to actually understand
Yes.
the difference right now. This is not your father's Oldsmobile on when it comes to website migration.
Yeah, and we've been using it for a little bit now, and it is very intuitive. I mean, so in a customer example that we're going through right now, and we just sort of pointing in at a site, it's crawling the site, it's templating things, it's building out sort of the look and feel, it's building out the blocks,
Yep.
it's doing the content import scripts, it's running and iterating through some of that content to improve on the scripts,
Right.
in an iterative fashion,
Right.
and that's again just been a couple of months, and that's just going to improve and improve.
It's going to improve. And it's clear also that an uneducated hand operating a tool like that is going to create a site that is totally unmanageable.
Yeah.
But an educated hand running something like this is going to be like the difference between somebody who's never operated an excavator,
Yeah.
Trying to just start going and doing stuff, and they're going to end up taking somebody's car out or something like that. And then somebody who actually knows what they're doing.
And again, it's still early in that tool's development, but already like in context in your workspace individually. So every user that logs in has their own workspace. You see the site being built and can like modify that or have it redo that and talk through it in a communicative manner. And it shows the content, and then you can push the content directly into your repository and the code. And similar to like a GitHub, it's highlighting the changes in your code, and you can commit that directly into your branch.
That's right. That's right.
Tab, you mentioned the keynote there. Do you want to linger on that a little bit? Like, what do you guys think of the first keynote? As probably the biggest names.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously big names. I mean, so the one that was the most impactful was Shantanu and Jensen, because Jensen is just, I mean, it's funny because he kept kind of talking over Shantanu. It's like 2 CEOs trying to both be CEOs at the same time.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that was actually quite wonderful. But the fact that they were both talking and Jensen he had a bunch of amazing like sound bites that he came out with. So there was like you're talking about the one on radiology.
Yeah, but
Okay.
what I wanted to say about those sound bites is I was listening to a podcast earlier this week with Jensen.
Okay.
Same bites. They were worked.
Okay.
Fine. Saying the day one keynote was a little bit more flat to me than the day 2. I actually enjoyed P&G's CEO.
Yes.
Conversation.
Yes.
It's wild to me that they both went to the same high school.
That is kind of wild.
How crazy
Yeah,
is that?
Shantanu and the P&G CEO went to the same high school, and the P&G CEO looked up to Shantanu because he was 4 years older than him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a big kid. I want to be like him.
Right.
But yeah,
That's really wild. It's neat to see those synergies right there, and where people come from Mumbai and are leading 2 major corporations in the
yeah. But having something with that many brands, the number of brands that he's got to keep track of. To me, that's like anytime that I've done an AEM site, and I've got some multi-site manager stuff that I got to do. I got to do a couple of brands. Well, how about P&G?
Yeah, and they've been around so long. I mean, that story of and I had actually heard it once before, but I know everyone I talked to had not heard that. But they created the soap opera,
right?
Basically for marketing purposes.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That's really wild.
Yeah.
Display their kitchen goods.
Yeah, so you run the ads to
Truman Show.
Honestly, Housewives at the time, right?
Yeah.
But there's a couple, so in and amongst those keynotes, especially the day 2 keynotes, where they got a little bit more into the guts of things too. There's a bunch of new products that got announced. Some of those were repackaging existing, so not really existing products, but things. So there's reorganizing things under umbrellas, because we've got this whole CX enterprise sort of umbrella that
how do you bring everything into the fold, and
exactly that a bunch of the agentic functionalities kind of bundled underneath, and then also exposing this whole CX enterprise coworker, which is kind of like a Copilot-ish kind of both a UI, but also just a skill and MCP-ish type skill that you can go and talk to, and basically have all these different ways to get data in and get data out, because none of the marketing problems are single faceted problems. Like, I've got if I get a signal like this, then I want to take this action. I want to make this new content. I want to know that these people are not up right now, so they can't approve this content that I just went and created on your behalf.
Right.
So I got to send it to the UK team, who might look at it, and then I'm going to activate it in these ways, and then store the data in this back-end way. A lot of that orchestration is like just
it's across a bunch of different tools.
It's a ton of different tools.
Right.
Some of them aren't even owned by Adobe at all.
Sure.
Right.
So
which
that's where that MCP layer can come in, and
that's right.
Reach out to other sources.
That's right.
And to your point, like, there's parts of it that are automated, parts of it the agent's running, and then other parts where it's waiting for approval and waiting for human, either in the UK or somewhere else, to put eyes on it and say, yep, we're good to go.
Right. And this is where I think some of the keynotes came back to this a couple of times, and Jensen even mentioned this one other time. So he was talking about how he was the first. He had the first signed copy of Creative Suite 3 from Shantanu, like at the time, boxed, shrink wrapped and everything like that. But he's talking about how they still use a ton of Photoshop and things like that. So it doesn't make these skills go away. It's just it kind of moves people up the stack. What I kept thinking of is Photoshop itself, right? Like so if you're gonna be like a Photoshopper, and so I'm talking to Frank, because Frank's the one videoing back there, and Frank's a Photoshopper. But so like when you're doing Photoshop, like you used to have like a Photoshop machine that could like run Photoshop like well, right? And then when you were, but a lot of times like you'd run a filter or you'd run some new set of actions or something like that, and you have to wait. You're watching the bar slowly go across. You're like, man, I wish I had a faster Photoshop machine, right? And it was all based on like all these mechanical bottlenecks, or also like okay, I gotta punch out this the background of this girl who's got flowy hair, and you're sitting there trying to quick mask around all this, and you're like, and if you're like me, you're really awful at masking, and so you're like doing a crappy job. You already had the thought of exactly what you want to make, like yesterday, and you're still working on executing on the thought that you already visualized the full thing of what you want.
I mean, to a degree, in a lot of those scenarios, people almost lose the thought because it's taken so long too.
Right.
Or they don't have the technical expertise to express the thought.
Yeah,
they don't know how the tool works, really.
Yeah.
Right.
One example was I always ask my friend to do the Photoshop for me, because I'm not good at the tool, and now I can just erase the person from the image myself. And
right. But that's the thing too, is like if I when I have a tool, like right now in Photoshop, I've got a thing that I can go in there, and there's a thing that this new Adobe Firefly stuff where I can just go and punch out the background for me. Right. Is that cheating now? Like, are the humans out of it now? Like, no, I still had the exact idea that I want. I still visualized exactly the effect that I want. I just didn't have to go through all the mechanical steps. And I feel like that's what's happening in marketing.
You can get so many iterations and variations to choose what one vibes with you the most.
Yeah. but I feel like that's what, like with all the agentic stuff, you just go, well, are humans out of the mix now? But that's the one thing that Adobe keeps bringing up again and again. It's like, no, humans are at the center.
Yeah, they're the
Humans-
audience.
They are they're the audience, and they are the creators. And you're just trying to empower a creator who had an idea, and they want to get something done.
Yep.
Anyway, I just kept thinking of that again and again.
Yeah, for sure.
this
I mean,
fall.
honestly, like, we can hit on that, but Sneaks really made me think about that a lot. Like, so many of those demos.
Yes. Okay, yeah, so fine. So let's just get right into this. Okay. Summit Sneaks. So every year they do a whole set of sneaks where they get a bunch of engineers, and for anybody who isn't familiar with the format
fantastic.
of
Yeah.
But so they usually have a bunch of engineers that get on the 7 this year. These are people who are not presenters. These are nerds.
That's my favorite part,
right?
right?
Yes, I love that they're just nerds.
The comedians dealing with the
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. But
the deep level expertise people that really just want to do their demo and not be interrupted.
yeah. But then we had Oeza Schlesinger. Oh my gosh, she's probably going to log on to I hope she logs on the podcast and then eviscerates me for butchering her name.
Yeah.
But she's like got the sharpest comedic wit. So what they do every year is they have somebody who's like a comedian or a celeb get up there, and these nerds have to go and present their crazy like mad scientist thing to whoever the celeb is and get them to understand it. And so of course she's just like, oh, it was perfect. It was perfect.
I love the WrestleMania theme this year too.
It was WrestleMania theme the whole time.
Good, because when we showed up this past weekend, Vegas was just chock full of
Ready for it.
Oh yeah, everyone was pumped for WrestleMania and wearing their T-shirts.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. But there's 7 different ones, and what's funny is that in previous Summit Sneaks, I look at some of the stuff that people create, and I'm like, that's not real. Like, that's right?
Yes. Yeah, it's vaporware
It's
or
total vaporware, and it's not
know,
actually going to happen.
that
but
demo's not happening live.
Yeah.
And,
But
and
every
it's
single
sort of,
one.
yeah.
They can't do it in real time all the time because it is condensed.
Yeah.
Unlike Rockstar,
Right.
live.
Which is all live. It's all exactly. Real life engineers that we know,
right, you think that
sweating
was
bullets. Yeah.
And that to me was the most impressive thing. I think where you're going with is that at the end of Sneak, they're like, and these are all live, and you can go toy around with them right now.
Precisely. Yes, you can toy around with them right now. And just as an example, what was it called? Project Site Leap was the name of one of the sneaks last year, which is AEM Coder, which is the thing that we were just leading off talking about.
Yep.
That is live
Yes.
right now, and we're
Yes.
using right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, one of the sneaks this year was something that Cedric hit on this year as well, which is audience of one.
Right.
Audience for one stuff is so wild.
That's
That's like
wild.
it's going to change how companies market to people.
Yes.
So basically the idea is that as you're scrolling through a site, the site is learning what your intent is on the site, and then it'll start serving you customized AI generated content based on what you're actually looking
Based
for.
on your brand, based on your products, based on the
But
information.
based on what that user's intent is.
Right.
Yeah. That. Yeah.
Completely changing how the internet works in some cases.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's gonna be neat.
Evidently, some of that was shown is actually in the wild working right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I know.
Well, they showed it sneaks and I mean, and Cedric demoed that a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah, yeah.
too in his presentation.
Yeah, it's not like just something that is proposed possibly for the future. This is like something that's happening right now.
Are those two products parallel efforts, or are they two separate people going for the same idea? What do you guys
I
know?
think it's the same thing. So Cedric actually did a post on LinkedIn on that
AOL.
talking about that. And so then he had a very similar, it was slightly different demo, but similar concept, similar tooling. So I think it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely wild.
It's gonna be a fun new world for marketers, I think.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. That definitely got all their creative juices flowing.
Oh, yeah.
So there's the marketers. So there's another audience that we haven't really talked about, and that's authors. And so one of the, fine. Two of my besties went and ran this because Marcus Hawk and Chris Moore ran this vibe coding and AM author interface,
Great.
it was a fabulous session. But what it illustrated is, so I've been a part of, for the last 15 years, so many sprints where the only thing that people were tackling sprint over sprint is authoring user interface fixes.
Yeah.
Of like, oh yeah, so it says they have to go and they pick this, and then, oh yeah, and we're just trying to make a new tab so the author can fill out this field, and that's, oh, we tested it, but it broke the author, so we had to roll it back. Like all this nonsense, right? That takes weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to get something done.
Yeah.
And the entire lab full of people,
Yes.
like kind of just took from just an idea, from ideation to real life.
Yes.
During like, and the vast majority of people in the lab got it done.
Got it done, understood the concept,
Right.
built a whole app that then also deployed a page, and then were able to then hook into that page and iterate on that page the content.
Right.
I have very limited technical and authoring experience, and I got it done just
You got it done
nice
too?
to everybody.
Sweet. Yes.
Yes.
In my mind, it's like I used to have to rely on a bunch of different people to get any of that done. I could just do it myself now.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Which the takeaway that I think almost anybody should have from that is that you shouldn't have to live with an arcane authoring experience. That because I've been a part of too many marketing orgs where highly technical or only highly trained authors can do a bunch of different operations because you can't trust the business users with it.
Creates a giant bottleneck.
All right. And they're like, oh yeah, well, can't the business users just do this? No, business users can't do this because they have to know how to do this and this thing with content fragments and this thing because they might break
the
this.
authoring UI is complex.
The authoring UI is complex. And,
Yeah.
And they can't add too many things. They can't nest this or else it'll crash the entire author and bring it down. Not like we've ever seen that happen, right? It's
And now I'm triggered.
we've never seen that happen more than 10 times in a week, but just the fact that anybody can now take a given problem, and it really comes down to how cleanly can you articulate the problem.
Yeah.
And if you understand the problem that you're trying to solve, and you understand the array of solutions that you possibly have, and you've talked that over with your devs and architects, like, okay, where can we store this? Okay, good. Is it sensible to store this? Yes, it is. Great. Good. I'm going to make an authoring UI to do that. And then even a technical project manager could give a crack at it, right?
But I do think, and you touched on this earlier, it's really important for your environment to be set up cleanly and correctly.
Yep.
Brand guidelines.
Yep.
Me and Frank have been talking about that a lot the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get that set up on our site stat, because otherwise you have all these different people uploading content.
Well, just like, here we go.
Because they're enabled to do so. And so putting proper guide rails on what can go out and how it needs to look
Right.
is going to be massive too. And they're going to need experts to help configure all those different pieces.
Absolutely.
I mean, they harped on that, right? I mean, brand safe, brand guidelines. I mean, be able to put those checks in place. And then even training some of the stuff on your brand so that as the agents are generating stuff, they're generating it based on the history of your brand, based on your already approved assets. I mean, that's super powerful just in and of itself, let alone then checking it to make sure that it meets all the guidelines afterwards.
So there was that. I was blown away by the implications of that. I think that's underappreciated. The number of things that you can do for authors at this point.
Yeah.
A piece of that, though, is, and this is, I think, something that still terrifies people for the most part, is the idea of a conversational interface with an author. It's like, oh my gosh, what will people do now?
Yeah.
Right. But this is, again, so this is the whole idea of Adobe now for almost every interface, for an AM author, for document authoring, for cloud manager, for so many different things. You can now expose an MCP, which basically model context protocol basically gives one of these LLMs the context that it needs to be able to do something.
Right.
Because you can't just go in ChatGPT and say, hey, yo dog, I'm running AEM on my website. Can you go and update the ChatGPT is going to say, I don't know what you're doing. But if you give it an MCP and you log in and say, good, here's my authentication, and this thing now has authentication credentials to my backend.
Yep.
Good. Now here are the skills that I could invoke.
Yep.
And you could say, good, here's my problem. I've got 5 pages in my About Us that have outdated imagery. I have the new imagery that's in the Content Dam July folder. I want you to update all the heroes that are on that with the imagery that's in Content Dam, and I want you to preview them.
Yep.
And I want this in a branch. The branch is called blah. Go.
Yep.
And then you could set it to doing that, and it goes and does this in a controlled environment, and then send it up there.
And to your point, iterate.
Right.
And to your point there, a couple of people had questions actually in a number of different sessions. Like, well, now I'm concerned, is this hooked up to production? Am I going to like blow away all my production content? How safe is that? And in the traditional AEM aspect, you know, they have it set up where it creates launches. So that's not actually, you know, live content. You have to then go in and approve it and bring that launch in, you know, similar to like translation projects or other things.
Right.
And then in DA where it's even possibly staged locally, and you can just see it locally from your local computer. It's not actually even the content repo, yet the whole, like, it's still with your production content and running with your production level code, and the ability to then snapshot as well, pages within that. So you still have that assurance that you can run this agent, you can vibe code or create the content, you know, with these new tools, and you know, be relatively assured that you're not blowing away your whole production website.
That's right. And I think that's one of these things where it makes command line tools cool again, because if you have well understood command line tools like this, that it's not even necessarily that you need to know all of the command line tools. Is it they're out there, and then the LLM knows about this, and this is one of the ones too where back to things that Jensen was saying, is that previously, like take Photoshop as an example, like I've been using Photoshop since 1993 or something like that. I still know probably
Spring chicken.
4% of Photoshop. Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that I just don't. I can do what I can do. I know how to do. Like, there's certain things I could find masking, punch outs, and stuff like that, and a bunch of layer stuff. Like, fine, I'm okay with that. Some of the other more advanced stuff, I just don't know. Right. But if you give an LLM, but if I have,
you know it exists, but
I know it exists.
Exactly how to use it.
I know it exists exactly, and I have a concept of what I want it to do, and I know it can be done using the tool. I'm not telling it to go and like, you know, make my kids pancakes right now. Right. I know that's not one of Photoshop's capabilities, right? But if I know what it can do, but if you have an LLM and if you have an MCP and you basically say, here are my CMS's capabilities.
Right.
So let me tell you all its capabilities. Good. So now you have all its capabilities. So now here's what I'm trying to do. And the LLM can say, good, well, I'll use this capability to, I forgot that existed. All right, well, good. I'm glad you did that, Mr. LLM. So that sort of thing is that's just
it had
underappreciated.
So much more knowledge about the tool set and the APIs than most people do, except for very deep level experts.
That's right. So it doesn't obviate the need to be a deep level expert.
Right.
This doesn't mean that everybody can just dumb down their understanding of content management systems and how all this stuff works. Right. It means that you have to have people really understand how everything works and connects. Yes. But once they do, it takes the mechanical time of how much time are you now going to go spend, you know?
Well, and those deep level experts are the ones that are gluing all the pieces together and building even future and new MCPs to enable everyone to be able to use these in safe, effective, and quick manner.
Yep, that's right. So more future stuff. So there was also Cedric and Haresh's session, which that was one that I had been looking forward to this entire time, and they didn't disappoint. Because there was a lot. It was a lot,
and he did it live too.
He did it live also, which is great. This is great. I really appreciate that. Things, all kinds of things. This like experience production agent, another one of these agents. There's all these agentic capabilities that are out there. Like literally grabbing an annotated PDF where you say, fix this, handle that, none of this, new photo, right? Where somebody literally scrubbled all over some PDF, feed that into this agent, and it says, good, I'll use this skill to do this. Use this skill, good. Preview, go.
Yeah, or from a Figma.
Yep, or from a Figma.
Even one of my other labs, it was a hand-drawn form. Yes, he hand drew the form and the LM understood the hand drawing.
Form.
And I've actually done this. So I'm a huge fan of handwriting a lot of notes. I actually remember everything better. So like when I'm in customer meetings or technical calls, I'll actually handwrite things. And with my Claude bot currently, like I'll just send it a snapshot and it can read it and parse it.
Right.
And so they did that with, again, it's similar to a Figma, but it was a hand-drawn form.
Right.
It took that, generated the form.
That's right. And then in some cases too, so they've got a bunch of these agents that they talked about last year, but there wasn't this like kind of real way to stitch some of these capabilities together. Like there's this governance agent, which I was like, okay, that's a neat thing in isolation. Like, okay, that's neat. Right? Where are you going to go? Send it like as the governance police. Like I was trying to think of the use case. But when you have agent to agent, right, where you say, good, here's this production agent, but here's this other governance agent that's going to say, here are my brand guidelines. I've articulated my brand guidelines. Here's my style guides. Let me point you at my style guide website that I've got. Like, 'cause almost every big brand's got either a brand website or a big set of PDFs or something that articulates all their brand guidelines. Always use this color. Never use this logo in this way. No drop shadows. Like whatever the color it is. Here are the fonts. Like all this stuff that nobody ever remembers, but an LLM will remember that.
Yep.
Right. And so then you can say, good, use this and flag if anything is against brand guidelines. Go.
Sure.
And then if somebody can say, good, I'll implement a bunch of the stuff on your scrawled notes, except for this one because it's against brand guidelines.
Yeah.
Like, whoops, yeah, I would have missed that.
Yeah. For sure. One of the sessions I really liked was Bertrand's and Brian's session.
Yes.
I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
One, and I think something that we'll be going to be talking about here for a bit, and I captured it was in the slide deck.
Yep.
But they really validated where we've been going in a lot of our stance with our customer conversations.
Right.
And so traditional AM is here to stay. They're building a lot of AI tools and a lot of bells and whistles for that. But the quote was, Adobe's recommended direction for new projects is EDS and DA.
Yep.
And that was, clear as day right there on the slide. And I thought that was that was the first time we're really, publicly coming out and saying that. That was fantastic to see, because I totally agree with that.
Oh yeah, especially since we've had we've been through all of the discussions about what is the future of all this, and we have strong opinions.
Sure.
And working with people at Adobe who have
there's
strong
lots of
opinions.
different use cases, right?
Lots of different use cases
and positions where people are at in their journey with AEM, right?
That's right.
Obviously, we've been in this space for so
Absolutely.
long, going back into the day CQ days, right? Pre-Adobe acquisition. And so there are repositories out there that, are working, keep it as is. That's great.
That's right.
But it's, the key there being new projects. But, I think in our opinion, a lot of these migrations, as you're rethinking things, to be able to hook into all these tools. But I'd say the one other thing that's not really AI, it's more automated, that they're rolling out that I think is going to be a big hit is Canary deployments.
Yeah, that was okay. That's one of these ones. It's like I think we first asked for that a really long time ago.
Yeah, I mean we've been doing Canary.
We made our own stuff back at.
Sure.
Yeah,
we've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
We've been doing that in the concept of other customers, not even AEM customers. I mean Canary deployments or even sort of blue-greenish, although Canary is slightly different.
Yeah,
it's been around for a bit, but to put that into the
Canary deployments are where you're launching instances of the site and just sending some traffic to it.
Yeah, exactly. So essentially, you have a new code or whatever you're releasing now into production. You only release it to maybe 10% of your customers, and you make sure it works.
Or 10% here, 10% here, 10% here.
Yeah. However that looks, and I don't know how the configuration is going to be with this. And I think I don't know if it's exactly released yet, or they're saying they're going to be releasing here within the next month or two.
What they said is that it's command line. So Cloud Manager has now an MCP that you can talk to, but it's also had a whole AIO CLI that you could go and talk to it and give it commands. So it's not in the GUI yet.
Okay,
but it will be. But it's in the CLI, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Evidently.
But to your point, like the purpose of it is that you might have been able to validate your code in your dev environment, in your staging environment. You feel relatively certain about that, but maybe there's third-party calls that you're making to either databases or to other systems or what have it, and you cannot test that in your dev or staging environments because they're hooked up to
Very common
other
problem.
third-party staging environments or other sandboxes. And so really you can't actually validate until you get to production that, what you just built actually works and works with the other systems, production environments, or, whatever the case may be. There's lots of, there's a myriad of
It's a less
scenarios.
risky way to test all sorts of new things.
Exactly. So you can release it to, again, let's say 10% of your global customers. But you can put, it's, I think, a query string or header parameter basically, says, Canary equals true, and thus be able to test this. Because that was the other issue that people used to have initially, is like, how do I know if I'm hitting the Canary or hitting the old version of my production? Right. And so you can force it where you're hitting the Canary, validating your scenarios. And I'm sure there's going to be some automated checks too. Like we do that with our Canary deployments where, there are some automated checks to test. And if they fail those checks, it'll roll that back. And so you've only affected possibly 10% of your customers and roll that back safely. But if everything's good to go, okay, now we're going to say this new build's good, and push that out and roll that out to the 100%. And now it's in production.
As far as I know, though, too, that's an AIM as a cloud service thing that doesn't necessarily have, yes. So that doesn't necessarily affect the edge delivery population, but it's massive for those ones that are on the AIM JCR. So one of the other, so there's a lot of other things that I mean, I guess we could probably talk through our sessions for quite some time, and if you got more that you want to hit on, we probably can. But one of the things that I want to talk through is a lot of the non-session value
Oh my God.
that I was getting out of Summit this year, which was, so it's one thing. So I've been to Summits a bunch of times where I was just going to Summit.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you go to Summit and you sit down and you're just basically, it's just like the Maxell ad, where you guy's just getting his face blown off by the TV or the speakers. So you just feel like that the whole time. We're just like, what am I experiencing here, right? This year, I had a lot of very specific problems and things that I'm in the midst of going through. So, that's one of the reasons I feel like it was just super targeted. So there were, so much access to really great engineers.
I'm always surprised in how happy they are to interface too.
I know, but they're my favorite people. They're great. Yeah,
every interaction I had, you're
also
exactly right.
Skill levels.
Yeah.
They're happy to talk to you, happy to hear what your question is.
Yes. Across the board, everyone was happy to engage, answer questions, be frank about it.
Yep.
Sometimes they most of the time it was a really good conversation, but sometimes like, no, that's not ready yet or whatever. And they're honest about it, which is fantastic.
That's right. And I would have to say too, one of the other oddities is we had a lot more people that I at least interfaced with from product marketing and sales and stuff like that too. So really it's the whole ecosystem working together to be able to deliver an outcome, which is a good outcome for customers.
Yes. And partners.
And partners.
Where I get a lot of value is also talking to other attendees and peers.
Yep.
Learning about how other people are using the software or tools or different tools and how they might associate with the stuff that I'm more familiar with.
Yeah.
It's invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to marketers who aren't very technical and ask them what problems they're having, what challenges they see, what products they're interested in.
Yeah.
It tells me a lot of what people are looking for and what these massive companies at all sorts of different scales are worried about or thinking about and working towards.
Yeah.
And that to me is so valuable.
Oh, totally.
It's neat to see though. I mean, those massive companies in the fold here with how many brands and like in the case of the one session I went to with GM, how many brands they had and how many dealerships they had to deal with. And, one thing that we haven't even talked about yet is the LLM optimizer and them going through their experience there and how that like really improved the reach of their site being cited in LLMs.
It's such a massive problem right now. I was in a marketing session and they were talking about the dark funnel.
Yeah.
And right now it's really hard to track anyone reading context or content from your site or things about your brand.
Right.
That's right.
On ChatGPT or other LLMs. And Elmo or LLMO optimizer. LLM optimizer. Elmo.
I even
Seems like-
even heard one of our presenters saying Elmo, so I was like, good. Adobe said it. Elmo. It's Elmo.
It seems like the best tool to actually
Yep.
be able to steer your content and improve your GEO
Yep.
and your listing and ranking there.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So-
It's still not solved though. It's still a black
It's
box.
not solved, but
It's
there's
constantly changing.
it's constantly changing. But they're on the right track. I mean, so we already did a podcast earlier where we were talking about our experiences with Elmo, and it's stuff that legitimately works. It's solving the right problem. Like Lonnie Stark had a session that I went to. I don't know if you guys were in it, but she was talking about this problem of the entire marketing cycle that Adobe's trying to really focus on, which is super holistic. It's like, we get all into content management, but there's like so many bits of it. One of the pieces though is managing what AI believes. Like you have to there's so many places where AI has just got the wrong idea about your brand.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's and you
can't really control what it says about it.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Only through
Right.
content.
Right. Well, right.
Well, right.
Opinions, like,
And if
what
your
was-
content's not readable, then by the LLMs, because you're using too much JavaScript to customize, then you don't get cited or it is false.
Right. But and there's internal and external factors to that. But a lot of times too, people are like assuming that they got a website up, and because they got a website up, then these LLMs should know a thing or two, but they don't. And they don't realize, like, and I forget what the stats were, and I actually didn't even write it down. I probably should have, but they gave stats when they did a review of major brands and how many of them are actually citable, and it was like, I think it was 80% were not.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Right. Which is shocking, which is, to me, that's almost like a ChatGPT, Gemini product problem. Like, you made a tool that isn't properly citing, 4/5 of the web.
Yep.
Like, okay, guys, figure it out. And maybe that's why Google's slurping up Reddit, because it's like, okay, we can successfully do this. But yeah.
One of the interesting conversations I had around Elmo. It is so much easier to say. Was with the product manager, and specifically, I went into it. We've been having this conversation. So in previous years, going back probably 5, maybe even 10 years ago, in the SEO world, one of the ways that people improved their ranking was a method called cloaking, and basically you would show the search crawlers different content, but they were stuffing the content with metadata, stuffing the content with a lot of terms or whatever to
It may not even be on the
that
content.
may not even actually be in the page that any human coming to the site would actually see,
Right.
to improve the ranking of that page.
Right.
And that worked, and that worked for a little bit.
They show shadow content for the
Exactly.
scene and then show real content to the human users.
That worked for a bit, and then Google got wise, and the other companies got wise, and they changed their algorithm, and then they severely penalized you for doing that.
That's right.
And so you can no longer do that what it was called cloaking to improve your SEO. And we've been talking about the architecture and the patterns of the LLM optimizer.
Elmo.
Yeah, right. And so I specifically was asking about that. And so the product manager of the tool was saying that, they've been looking into that. So one of the differences is that they are only pre-rendering the content. They're not adding any net new content. So they're just pre-rendering it and caching it, right? So that when the LLMs come in, they hit that content and they can see so much more of the content that's essentially behind the Java.
And they can decide whether or not to show it to whoever's querying
Exactly.
way quicker.
So they feel confident that by not adding content at all, you're not changing the content.
Right.
That's not going to hurt them. And he also said that he was having conversations with all of the LLM companies to basically validate that.
Right.
And they've been having that conversation, and that he's relatively certain.
I like
At
your
least
approach.
as of this point,
Yep.
that's a safe method. So that was really reassuring to me that this tool is going to be able to be a tool for the long term for this problem.
And there's more ways that they're, and they demoed a bunch of stuff on screen that we can't even see in our versions of Elmo right now in terms of ways to be able get at
the different checks and optimizations and solutions that it's telling you to improve your content.
I saw one that showed what queries people were actually asking, and when said query was asked, does your brand show up? Which is a pretty, like, you can do that in Ahrefs or SEMrush today for SEO,
right.
but you haven't really been able to do it for GEO. And it's an important question to ask. Like, what are people searching to see content from my brand displayed?
Right. That's right. Which is funny though. You mentioned that. So it was brought up a couple times, and there was even a slide that was on the screen at one of the keynotes. Adobe plus SEMrush, and then it was like, the proposed acquisition. So I was waiting for that to drop.
Not done yet.
Is it happening? Is it still proposed?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good. So that never actually dropped.
And there's an Ahrefs booth on the floor, but not a SEMrush, right?
I think that is true. Well, the thing is too is that Ahrefs data is still being used in Sites Optimizer, to my knowledge.
Yes.
So an Ahrefs is the bitter, like, evil competitor.
They really tried to acquire them, right?
But yeah. But yeah. Oh yeah. But gosh, we had so many other bits. So I got invited into this Edge Delivery Services Rockstar Roundtable, which we had a bunch of Adobe engineering. David Nischler was in there too, basically emceeing it, it was such a treat. It was so good. And it was a bunch of nerds in there just nerding out about all of our, like, deep technical questions that were, like, are so arcane that I probably am not even going to bring it up right now. but in some cases of, like, should we use this command line tool? What about authentication and, various things with Edge Delivery? What's the future of this and that? How should we be doing our continuous integration? Like, all this stuff. But it was, like, again, the connection was so super tight, and the lines of communication were so open with Adobe engineering at this particular summit. It was, I don't know if it's just like, if it's just a difference of where I'm at in my career, or is this just like, it was just really real. I feel like it was they're just
real
open.
To me too, and it was honestly probably my favorite summit for that regard.
Yeah. Added to the fact that there were other things, so we had this whole we got Justin as the user group leader for the Midwest, and then I became this user group leader for this global this new global community that we're going to be setting up, global developer community.
That's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. Talk to a bunch of people about it. We've got ideas about what we're going to do as a first event.
Yeah.
Who knows where it's going to be? If anybody has, like, an invitation where they, like, really want me to come and speak, like
Antarctica, right?
I don't want to speak in Antarctica, but almost any other place I'll go to.
Community poll.
Yeah. So we should do a poll on this. But then we had this whole community. What was it called? It was this big community mixer where we just basically, a bunch of loud music, and for whatever reason we had a bunch of Adobe engineering leadership showing up as well. It was absolutely brilliant. And so loud music and just chatting and talking, shouting at other people from Adobe engineering.
I heard you saying karaoke even.
I even sang karaoke. I won't be singing right now. But yeah, no, I busted out some Stun Temple Pilots. So yeah, and but yeah, goodness, but that community, it was not just the AEM folks. We had a bunch of Workfront folks and analytics folks and AJO folks and Marketo folks, and it's just one big, super big community. Yeah, like, just trying to do cool stuff and get stuff done. It is like that. It is not.
You mentioned Workfront. I'm super excited to see how that's going to be the glue of everything.
Right.
At some point.
Right. Exactly. Which is, that's the other thing too with I guess that's one thing that I didn't see a lot of. Maybe I just was in the wrong sessions, but Workfront functions. That's seems like another thing, because they were talking a lot about agentic ways of being able to put together workflows, because all these things where you want automation, Adobe's got like 5 different tools that handle automation. So it's a matter of just like, what's the best one, and pick something to like do form submission automation.
Right.
Basically, like, okay, don't do all this in your traditional coding way. Like, just say, describe it and spec exactly what you want, and then just use the tool of your choice to be able to.
Yeah, I mean, I assume it's going to be really embedded eventually in a lot of again, workflows, just to even have that auditability
Yeah.
of I did completed this step, I completed that step. Here's my assets from this step,
Yep.
and be able to track that throughout a project or throughout whatever business workflow that we're doing.
That's right. So yeah, but if there's an overall takeaway, it is these skills are really here to stay. Separating out from what can you do in a given user interface or a given like prescribed surface. Like Adobe is even saying, make your own surfaces, make your own purpose-built surfaces. Don't stick with what we're giving you. We're just trying to give you this whole interconnected fabric that you can just be like congeal the purpose of what your business is and what it's trying to get done. And then we'll give you all the guts that makes it get done.
And that was said again and again and again.
I know.
In so many different sessions.
I hope
Hey,
people
we
got
use
it.
this tool. You could use Adobe's, or you could use
Your own thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or they kept mentioning Nemo Claw. Actually, I'm like, do people really use Nemo Claw yet? But yeah, that's NVIDIA's OpenClaw.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
NVIDIA's obviously pretty.
They're big. Yeah, they might have some pull with some certain important people.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, this is an absurdly exciting time to be.
Oh my God.
In this
The rest of
particular
this year is
space.
going to be fantastic.
Yeah, but to me it almost puts all of the impetus back on the people who are really considering what can be done and not thinking like, do we have the development bandwidth to get things done?
Yeah.
Because
But we do it this way.
Right. We do it this way because I mean, how many times? Because okay, one of the first migrations that you and I were on 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago, something like that, right? And they were getting on to whatever it was 6.1 to 6.2 or something like that. And it was all based on like there was almost no new
6.2. Wasn't that the broken one?
6.1 was very broken.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 6.0 was all the way broken. Completely borderline non-functional. But yeah, it wasn't your translation connector that did it.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But no, but how many features could you really go for like changing in terms of being a marketer?
Yeah.
Right. It was all based on like we can't do that right now because we're in the middle of doing a migration.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just like, okay, imagine there's no technical barrier.
Right.
What are you trying to get done?
Right.
What message are you trying to get out? What are you trying to measure?
Yep.
How might you measure it? So many people don't have bandwidth for A/B testing or ABCDEFG testing or personalization or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is not going to be a personnel bandwidth problem anymore. So folks should be implementing things like this.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to
Or as we said, it sneaks ABCDEFG testing.
ABCDEFG or all of the possible
letters.
UUIDs that could be created with any because like audience of one.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, like this is actually potentially possible.
Yep.
So so this is the time for.
It's pretty exciting. I've been saying it for a little bit, but I really felt in my bones. 2025 was sort of the start of the new renaissance, and 2026 isn't disappointing on that road towards really a crazy new future.
Yeah, but this is also one of these kind of like get in losers like kind of a moment, right? Like
100%.
Are you on board or are you are you feeling that most of my competitors are probably crusty also, and so therefore I'm going to stick with
the
my
conversations
processes.
we're having, especially with a lot of our customers, and obviously the migrations that we're going to be doing this year.
Yeah,
and I definitely think moving to EDSDA is so smart at this point.
Yep.
To be able to be on a platform where you can hook all these bells and whistles right into it.
Yep. Don't be focusing on why I can't move because of this one technical decision I made in 2017 or something like that. Like, hey, the technical decision you made in 2017 actually really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care whether you were right or wrong at that time. It doesn't matter at this point in time. What's the purpose of everything that you're trying to do? Like, rise up a bit, zoom way out from whatever marketing problems or technical problems you had before and say, what really are you trying to do? Because chances are it's very possible at this point in time.
Yeah. So we haven't hit on the last session of the whole summit.
Of Rockstar. Yep. Yeah.
And congrats, Lisa
Yeah,
Brown.
yeah,
The
congrats.
new Rockstar number 10.
Yep. I want to think that it was because she got a breath of fresh air on our bike ride. And
Yeah.
that was probably what pushed it over the edge. I'm just going to personally assume that's what it was, but she did an amazing.
I really enjoyed all those presentations.
Everybody
but
did
hers
amazing.
was really
Rockstar
great.
Park. Yeah. Rockstar's been like my favorite for a long time.
Oh, same here.
So they're all buddies. They're all
Honestly, it's
camaraderie is so
felt
cool.
this 20% of the rock stars are Crown Partners alum.
So
So it's only a matter of time from you then, eh, Brett?
yeah.
maybe I can get it on.
Throw my hat in the road.
Get to vibe coding.
Yep. I don't know if hat's the key word, but
Well, so now is that point in time where it's post-Adobe Summit. We're all going to take our next 3 weeks for all of the various announcements to really hit us and for us to realize the implications of them. But I think that it's time to move.
Plenty to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do.
yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to the conversations we're going to be having over the next week, 2 weeks, month.
Yeah. Well, and in some cases, for me, it's going to be conversations that start like tomorrow.
Yeah.
Head up to
You're headed to WHQ tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So this will be fun. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap this up. Hope you guys got something out of it, and we'll
Safe travels home, everyone.
Yes, indeed.
That was a fun 2026 summit.
Yeah.